Are yours outdated or blah? Tune in to find out. Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks. I'm Anita Joyce with Kelly Wellness, and this is episode 313, Hardware Updates and Trends for 2019. And the show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/313. And I think this hardware is something a lot of people forget about or they don't really pay a lot of attention to. So I'm glad that we're pulling the curtain back to say, let's be looking at these.
Okay. I'm desperately thinking of another pun. Pull pun. What else could we say? You hit the nail on the knob. That doesn't really work. Nah, bad one. Okay. Yes. Door hardware, cabinet hardware, all the sorts of hardware that you have in your home. Really the unsung heroes of decor, because as often is the case, the design is in the details. And those are some really important details. They have to function well and they need to be beautiful. And when they are, and when they work with your style, it really adds a lot to the overall look.
Yeah, Kelly, I like to think of it as being a ring on somebody's hand or a bracelet or a necklace. Mm-hmm. It's so small compared to the, the clothing that the person's wearing, but yet that's really the sparkle. That's what you notice. And what a difference a beautiful ring makes, or a beautiful bracelet. I mean, your eye is really drawn to it and it can really pull an outfit together.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way hardware adds dimension to the overall design is really not in conjunction with the size of it, right? So it's usually these small items and maybe not even that many of them, but wow, it really does make a big difference. And it can be inexpensive, relatively inexpensive, of course, compared to actually furniture or draperies or fabric or even pillows. So, and instant, relatively inexpensive, and make a big impact. So that is a really important topic to cover. And that's why we're devoting an entire episode to it today.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I really like about it is it's what you said. A lot of times you can get some beautiful hardware that's not too expensive if you know where to shop. And we're going to be talking about that today. But also, it's so easy to do. It really is amazing what a difference it makes in a kitchen, for example, or a bathroom. And if you can find some knobs or pulls that are exactly the size of what you had. So there's no power tools required for the most part, which is fantastic. So something easy to do.
Yeah, most knobs, unless you're going vintage. I mean, a lot of knobs these days, or even vintage ones, there's a standard size that will fit a lot of furniture you already have, or if you're thrifting furniture, there's a certain separation. If you're kind of like faucets, it's the 4-inch spread or the wide spread or something like that. So it's, fairly standard. So you should be able to mix and match, and not only should you be able to find things, but maybe you should consider doing that. Sometimes the knobs that come with a piece of furniture, or the knobs on your kitchen, if you put them in a long time ago, or if you purchased a kitchen and their knobs are already there, it might not be something that first jumps out to you as something you need to replace or think about changing out. But as you'll see today, and if you really give it some consideration, it can make a tremendous difference, particularly in a kitchen where you've got so many knobs going on. Pulls, right. Knobs, bin pulls, you can have all different things. And sometimes you want it to blend, and sometimes it's a good idea if it pops. So we'll talk about the different situations where you might want to, go a different route for your knobs in the kitchen.
Right. And I did want to mention too, because I have changed out doorknobs before. And recently there was a change in the standard size of doorknobs. So be careful if you are changing out doorknobs.
No way! I mean, when did that happen? That's slipped right by me.
Well,
was that a congressional movement? I mean, how did that happen?
I don't know what happened, but our
Whoa.
old house was built in 1978, and in the 90s, I changed out the doorknobs,
Mhm.
and they did not fit in the old holes in the door. And so I actually got this special little fixture that I put on my drill, and it made the
Wow.
hole bigger. And I'll include a link for it. It was super cheap and
Whoa.
inexpensive, and you just put that on and made the hole slightly bigger. And then everything just popped right on. It was great.
Oh, wow. So you're talking about actually doorknobs.
Doorknobs, which I
Not-
was planning to include today. Is that all right?
Oh, of course. But I'm
Mhm.
just to differentiate. So this is
Yes,
the
this is
hole
only-
that the doorknob that the actual that functions with the latch and all of that
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. Yes, because that can make a big difference changing those out as well.
That's so interesting. Like, who would even be like, "Hey, you guys, we should really change that out." Like,
I did. I changed them out.
No, I mean like the people who make them. You know,
Oh, the whole size make
yeah,
change.
like,
I
oh no,
don't know
let's
what
make this
happened.
slightly wider so we just mess with everybody.
Well, I don't
Like,
know
why
if the
would you
deal
even do
was
that?
I changed brands. I don't know what the problem was, but I had to do that
maybe.
to every single door. And that house, although it wasn't a huge house, it had 5 bedrooms. So
Oh, that's a lot of doors.
there were a lot
Yeah.
of doors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the hardware. Either doors or your kitchen, you think, oh yeah, just you need a few knobs. But when you start counting, I know I was really surprised here with this kitchen when I was creating it because
yeah.
I really, to my mind, didn't have a whole lot of cabinetry. And then 2 of the big things were the freezer and the refrigerator. So that was going to be different anyway. But when you start counting them up,
Mhm.
it's a lot of knobs.
Right, right. That's what I was saying. I mean, you really do have to be, I mean, I really wouldn't go cheap, but you do have to consider that cost if you're looking at a regular size kitchen. There's more knobs than you think. And if you're spending, it makes a big difference spending on a $3 knob or a $10 knob for a kitchen, that has, I don't know. Did you count how many knobs you had there?
Yeah, I actually do remember because it was 23, and for whatever reason,
Mhm.
23 is my lucky number. And so I was like, oh, that's a good omen. And I would suggest when you do this, buy a couple more. I went vintage at that time, and so I was able to find 24 knobs. If I
Mhm.
was buying them and I had, I could have bought several more, I probably would have gotten a handful more, maybe 4 more just to be safe. Because mine are glass too, because something could happen. It could crack, or maybe you add some more cabinets later someplace else. And then you cover up those open shelves with doors. And then you want to put some knobs on there. Then you'll have some in your stash.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the styles that are hot right now. One of the things I was noticing is that it seems like in years past, we were kind of talking about this, that it's kind of like the style of dress, like long ago and far away, the mini skirt was popular, and then the maxi skirt. This was the 60s. And, I love looking at the history of fashion. And then now it's like anything in between is in style. And that seems to be happening with the hardware as well, because it seemed like it had to be brass, and then no, it had to be nickel, and then no, it had to be pewter or oil rub bronze. And now really it's anything goes, and there's even many, many, many more options out there. And I love the choices.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it because people and trends seem to be much more categorized, decades and decades ago. And as we've moved forward, things have loosened up, and maybe it's just, a lot of things came into style and some things stayed around, and then they became sort of these classics or these classic finishes and things like that. So we're free to sort of incorporate them all without looking dated. And as Anita and I say to you guys a lot, what we love is the mixture of styles to create your own look. We're going to be talking about that in an upcoming episode, just in general about your decor. But in hardware, mixing metals is definitely a good idea. I have some ideas on how you might do that, which we can talk about too. But I definitely agree that you can add in some different things now. It's just not one thing. Not everybody's doing brass. Not everybody's doing the brushed nickel. I guess it was maybe 20 years ago or so when the oil rod bronze first, sort of darkened the horizon. And I went crazy for that. I loved it.
It was so new. It was so different. And that's what our farm is, oil rub bronze. And now I'm like, but
yeah, it was
I'm
so
not
anti-shiny.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so anti-shiny gold brass. And so I just dove into that. I loved it. And then I kind of didn't get onto the whole brushed nickel thing. I like a warmer fixture, whether it's a knob or even a faucets or things like that. So I never really got on that train. I don't remember ever doing a kitchen with that. But that was hot maybe like 10 years ago. And now I'm not saying it's looking dated, but that isn't the most current thing. And as Anita's saying, a more current look is to sort of mix them in together. But
that's right. I was just going to say, it's not that long ago that mixing metals was seen as a big no-no.
Yeah.
That was, I want to say like 5 years ago, people just didn't do it. But I had a hard time making it work in my house. And so I just mixed the metals because I just thought I want the nickel for my faucets in the kitchen when we built this house. But I thought, I just felt like the silver colored chandelier was going to look, just a little too contemporary for the space. So I went with kind of the gold crystal chandelier over the island. So I was just mixing just because I just thought I don't know. It's just what I wanted to do.
Well, no, and it looks absolutely beautiful. But here's what you're saying. You didn't say, oh, I'm going to mix all my knobs are going to be slightly mixed. My cabinetry knob's going to be this. And then, the island's going to be different. I think you want to keep the category of it the same.
Right.
Right. So you could have your faucets and all that could be one thing. Your knobs could be something different, but all your knobs should be the same finish. And then, of course, your chandelier can be something completely different. But if you have a chandelier and then maybe you have sconces, they should be very similar, or at least, the same general look or finish.
Right. And then just a little further over, I've got a French kind of a dark, bronzy looking lantern over my breakfast room table. So that's kind of what I did because I just thought, I don't want this in the shiny silver. It's just going to ruin my antique look in here. So, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. And I think that's really something that over the ages, back in the day, back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people obviously didn't have the money to have everything matched. So it just kind of is something that people used to do, and we're just now getting back to it. But I think I like it because it gives you much more opportunity to create your own individual style, like you were saying. And let's talk about some of these different finishes because I am loving all of the options right now. In fact, one of the new ones I'm seeing for this year is a matte black knob. I think that's really pretty.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And just one more thing that on the finishes, I would try, if you can, to stay uniform in your door hardware throughout your home. So that's how I would, in my mind, categorize it. Like your knobs in your kitchen can certainly be different than your doorknobs on your doors.
Yes.
But I would say, in the category, okay, all my doorknobs are going to be this and my hinges are going to be the same.
Yes.
Then you could have all your knobs and your pulls and whatnot in the same finish. And then, of course, these other things that we're talking about, the lighting fixtures and the faucets and things like that, that can be whatever works in your decor.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so I definitely would say all the pulls in your kitchen I would have in one particular finish or where they all coordinate and they're the same shade of something. And then all your, like our kitchen, for example, we have the produce sink and then the other sink, but the faucets are both the same color. So,
right.
But yeah, so I think that's absolutely, that's definitely the way I would agree that you should go rather than, I wouldn't be putting a silver knob on one cabinet and then next to it a gold one. I think that's going to be a little odd looking.
Right. Okay, so let's get into these finishes that you were talking about.
Yeah, one of the new ones I'm seeing is the matte black. I saw black chrome, weathered soft iron. There's so many, and some of these may even be the same, but these are just some of the names that I saw across different places that just were very interesting and just really cool looking. Antique pewter, an
Yeah,
antique
there's a lot
copper.
of different options. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and then of course there's the brass, shiny or the unlacquered, which is,
And
just
antique. Hmm.
an antique. So, and the unlacquered is, for the non-faint of heart that wants to just see it patina on its own. And you can or you get it that where it's already sort of antiqued and has the patina on it. And so that's kind of a little bit of a weathered look, of course.
And I'm just going to say about the unlacquered brass. I had an unlacquered brass sink, and it never really looked good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure I would suggest it in a sink, but on a faucet, I had a faucet like that, and it was really one of my favorite faucets of all time. So I think, it just really depends on how it's being used. But
Yeah, I have a lot of unlacquered furniture poles and knobs, and that just happen to come with antiques and whatnot. And I know that it's an unfinished brass, and they've done their patina a long time ago, and I love them the way there are.
Yeah.
But yes, if we are just tossing in the kitchen sink, as they say today, I never had a sink that was unlacquered, but all my faucets in this house are unlacquered. I wanted to go with that because I thought it was very age appropriate for the house.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I love my kitchen sink with all of my heart, but some of the other ones, like the one in the powder room, it just didn't patina the right way.
Is it brass?
It's unlacquered brass, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they're all unlacquered brass, but
mine did not
every
do so well.
brass patinas the right way.
I don't
and
think
that might
mine
just
did.
be the luck of the draw. I mean, they were all, good quality companies. So, just watch out for that. But, today we're talking about knobs and pulls and stuff like that.
Right.
Chances are it's going to patina really nicely. And if it doesn't, you're talking about, tops maybe a $10. Hopefully you're not spending more than that, $10 or $12 on a pull. You could just change them out if you didn't like them.
Yeah,
So we've got chrome, we've got nickel, brushed nickel, satin, we've got the oil rub bronze that we mentioned, iron, unlacquered iron, crystal glass, pewter, ceramic, painted.
I saw something recently. It's called gunmetal. That it was just beautiful, very rustic. It was a silvery finish, but kind of it's almost like a silver version of unlacquered brass. It was kind of a very rough finish. It wasn't honed. It was kind of more of it wasn't polished. It was more like a honed finish. Right. Really lovely. And then the gold. Have you seen the gold?
Yeah, like a champagne gold.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, a champagne gold, not exactly a brass. I mean, there's so many options out there. And then an ash gray. Mm-hmm. So really, there's so many options. I mean, to me, this is so fun because it's really whatever. If you can imagine it, it's probably out there and available for you. I mean, just go looking. There's so many incredible options. It's an exciting time for doorknobs and pulls. And
yeah. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health, potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. We're talking about sort of all the hardware, and there are obviously so many different styles of hardware to coordinate with your look. So it's really taking your look to that next level, to really diving deep into the details of your look. So if you have a very modern kitchen, you're not going to want to put ribbon and reed on it. But man, if you've got this whole French country thing going on, like obviously, you've now had the best hardware picked out by the queen of the French country look. So that is the knob or pull that you should have, because it's going to take your look to that next level. Just don't be satisfied with what came on the furniture or what you bought your house and those are the knobs that are on the kitchen cabinets. This is so easy to change and to really, really give it that designer look by making it all work.
Absolutely.
It's like punctuation in a sense. You're like, bam, just like putting the exclamation point on your look, underlining it, putting the period on it. Like it is necessary and makes such a difference.
Well, another thing I want to mention is kind of one of the hot things now, if you want the latest and the greatest as far as the trends go, are the oversized pulls. And now you're not going to be able to use the same holes if you go with these oversized pulls. But that's definitely a very on-trend look right now. It's very sleek and contemporary, and it's a beautiful look for a kitchen. So that's something that you can look for if you have a kind of more contemporary or a modern or just kind of a minimalistic look in your kitchen.
Yeah, the ones I would stay away from, just in general, especially if, even if you're just paying, $1.50 or $3 or $4 a knob, it adds up. I would stay away from the whimsical ones, unless you're doing a nursery or a kid's room or something like that, or it's one little piece of furniture that maybe has one drawer and you do something, like a butterfly or something like that. When you're talking about hardware en masse, like in a kitchen or on, a big cabinet with maybe some drawers and some cabinet that open with pulls or something, I would stay away from anything whimsical or too cute.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, because you want something a little more classic, but I don't want you to shy away from some fun, whimsical things other places. I had an antique dresser in the girls' room that I used dragonfly knobs for pulls, and it was just and they were kind of an antiqued kind of look, iron looking. I really loved the look, but having a kitchen full of that, I think would have been, I would have heard the little leaves buzzing or the wings buzzing in my ears. But for the little dresser, I thought it was really perfect. So
right,
that's so add those
where
in
you
small,
said you had it, right?
Right, but in small doses.
Room.
Right. It was in a girl's room in a small dose. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up is if you're buying some online, like from D. Lawless, and you want to do your whole kitchen, just get a sample or two to start with and make sure you're happy with it. Try it on there and see what it looks like. And then when you, are happy with it, then you can buy with confidence and go ahead and buy the rest for your whole kitchen. Because I think that's scary buying 25 knobs or 30 or 15 or whatever when, you're not sure exactly how it's going to look in your kitchen.
That's a really good point. And I'm sure, you could buy a couple and, just maybe when you're ordering, just ask them how many maybe make, instead of just putting the order in online, whether it's D-Lawless or someplace else, contact them, say, how many do you have in stock? Because you don't want to fall in love with something and we have 3 left, and you just bought 2 of them. And don't diddle around either, Don't wait 6 weeks, don't
well, that's
wait
true. If you want
till your husband rings in on it or something, just make your decision, have them come in, try them
Are
out
you
right
telling
away.
people to ignore their spouse's opinions?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, get on it. Don't put it on the bottom of the list. Another thing that you have to consider with knobs or pulls or something that's going to go into either the drawer front or the cabinet front is the width of, the wood or the material that drawer or the cabinet is made of, and the length of the screw that will come off the actual decorative part of the knob. That has to be longer, right? So it can come through. I've had some situations where I was like, I got this cute little end table or something and it has a drawer and I want to put this knob on it that I have in my stash of things, and I'll take it out. And for whatever reason, the way the drawer is configured, the age of it, what have you, the wood is too thick. And then the screw part doesn't fit all the way through. So then obviously you cannot affix it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's just another consideration. I mean, it made me think of it when Anita gave you that good tip. Don't buy 40 of them and pay for them to be shipped to your house only to find out that A, you don't like them, or B, now this other point that I bring up is that the screw part is too short.
I know,
so
but
that's
you can
probably something that would be in the description.
Right. But if the screw is that's a cheap part. If you just need a longer screw, usually that's a separate part and you can buy those pretty cheaply, at the hardware store. So that wouldn't keep me from buying some knobs, but that is good to know.
Okay. I haven't seen ones where it's a separate piece.
Really? All of mine are separate. The screw part comes from the back and the knob goes on the front. Yours are, what do you have? A bunch of old antique ones?
Maybe, but mine seems to be all in one thing. But, and also if you want to make this a quick and wonderful thing, then you don't really want to go buying like screws, then you have to find out the one that's wide enough to go in. It's just you're falling down this very unpleasant rabbit hole with that. I would just find
my gosh,
that,
if
there's
you had
so
to buy
many
a couple extra screws, that would be life ending. Like, I don't know if you could go on if you had to go buy some extra screws.
No, but I think you're missing. I think we're missing a key element. You're talking about one that will go. The screw goes through the front. You see the front of the screw, and it goes all the way through. There are a lot of knobs where that doesn't happen, where you don't see the screw in the front, and it's all one piece.
Yeah, well, in that case, it's going to have to be the right length. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying, lady.
Okay, all right.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, we always agree in the end. We find a way to agree. Let me put it that way. There's always some common ground.
There is a way to get there. But here's another good point. A person listening could be like, "Oh yeah, and then they're like, "Oh no, that makes sense what Anita said." But there's the caveat. It's a different kind of knob because you can't just go get a screw because it isn't a screw. It's the screwy thing.
So get the sample
that's all very
one.
Technical.
Get the sample. Get the sample knob, and then you'll know. How about that?
Yeah,
there you go.
That's the safe way to go. Yeah, so that's such a big difference. I really, I am so happy with what I decided in my kitchen, which was to go with these glass knobs. And you find those in your local stores. You could certainly get an incredible collection from D-Lawless. They actually have their own line of depression glass knobs.
Yes, I saw those.
Are beautiful.
They are
really pretty.
Lots of different colors.
Yeah, but I went with the clear glass in my kitchen, and boy, am I glad I did, because it, obviously has to function because I want to open and close the drawers and the cabinets, but I didn't want a lot of visual noise because I had considered going with the matte black, which was, kind of really, really coming, just coming onto the horizon a little bit a couple of years ago when I was doing this kitchen, and I thought, oh, that'll look so sharp, against the white, but you know what, you guys, it would have just been way too much. With 23 pulls and knobs and my stove, and it just would have been too much. This way it's fairly seamless, but they're there, and the look of them complements the whole style of my house.
Well, and you have a Victorian house, so I think that that's something that's going to go perfectly for your home. I mean, that's something that
but mine aren't even faceted. They're just plain glass, very simple. And they have that kind of almost like the old schoolhouse lampshade shape to them. Like they're a little bulbous with a rounded point. Really simple.
They sound lovely. Well, but that's the good news is that you can get what you want. There are so many choices. It really does not matter what your design style is. You're going to be able to find something, I think, that suits your style.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. We've got some crushes to talk about, and then we have a listener question.
Okay, I have my crush today. It made me think of it because as Evie was walking out the door, she said, "My throat feels a little dry." And I said,
"I'm surprised she didn't come back in. Stay home."
I know. I said, "Take your Umka." And I thought, oh, that's going to be my favorite find or my crush for today is, and I'll have a link to it in the show notes, but it's called Umka. And it's, most of those things I know this is going to sound like an ad, but it's not. This is just, they're not a sponsor. I just love this product because most of those things in your medicine cabinet for your cold treat the symptoms, but this actually boosts your immune system. So it shortens the length of the cold and it lessens the severity of it. And that's what it says on the box, but I can just tell you from my own personal experiences, if I'm getting a cold, I take this at the first onset of any symptom, and it usually goes away super fast. And
All
then
right.
I think you need to take it for about a day longer, but you're going to love it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I have a completely different. This is kind of a crush, I guess. I stumbled upon this video on YouTube, and you know how we love linen, and I don't know, I don't know, how you get these things offered to you on your sidebar, maybe because you were looking for linen someplace else. I don't know. Obviously the Google gods know what we're all up to, but this video came across my screen. And so I clicked on it, and it's a video made by this older Irish gentleman in County Donegal. And it is about taking flax to linen, like for reals, you guys. Like, he plants the seeds. It's not that long of a video. They do
This is
speed
sounding
it up
long.
a little.
Are we going to have to watch the flax grow? That's my question.
It's very relaxing to watch the flax grow. No, it's, they obviously cut and edit and stuff like that. But first of all, he's just a sweet looking man, and it's produced by like the Historical Society or something in County Donegal. And here's this gentleman, and he did this kind of work up until like 1955. But anyway, I found it really interesting to watch and made me appreciate particularly any vintage linens that I come upon, to see the effort that goes into making this. And it gives you an idea why, if you buy a real linen pillow, although, now it's made, a lot of the process is done by machines, not by this gentleman anymore. But still, it's a very long process to have the real deal, the real flax linen.
I'm going to watch
it was
this.
fun. Yeah. You guys might say, oh my God, this is a big snooze, but I think you'll just be charmed as I was by this gentleman. And it's very authentic, and, maybe it's like 7 or 8 minutes long all the way through, but just it gives you a real appreciation, as we all have, I think, of, linen as a fiber. And like one of the comments was, and somebody wrote like, how cool was it that, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, somebody saw flax growing and they were like, I can make a shirt out of that. It's like,
well, I know, but it's really even more fascinating than that, because there were all these home looms that were only so wide. So if you get a sheet or a tablecloth or something that somebody loomed at home on a farm or something, there's a seam right in the center, because these home equipment that they made for making the fabric was not very wide. But this is something that people, would use the homespun linen all the time. And I love getting those sheets. They're usually, they're not fine and thin like something made today, but it's very rough and very soft. It's amazing how the old linen. Oh, sorry. I could go on and on talking about the linen, but I've got to watch this.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy it. He's kind of hard to understand because he's got a heavy brogue, but he's so charming. And so I rewound it and watched it a couple times. But yeah,
brogue. Is he Scottish? Where did you say he's from?
He's Irish.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
but there is some, he mentioned some Scottish things in there. So I'm not really 100% sure, because it is hard to catch every word, but it's definitely in County Donegal in Ireland where this was made.
Great.
But anyway, have a look if you are on YouTube, and you might enjoy it. I liked the whole idea of learning about it. And because I do shop for antique linens, I like the tip that Anita just gave us, hey, am I correct in thinking? So if you found a piece of linen and you're going to purchase it, at an antique market or something, and it's really super, super wide, and they're telling you it's really old, maybe it's not, because if it was hand loomed, maybe it shouldn't be so wide. And then the other hand, maybe if you find one that has a seam, or maybe even two, maybe that is an indication that it is very old and it was hand loomed. Would you say
right?
That,
it needs
Anita?
right. There's if it doesn't have that center seam, If it's kind of a wide, yeah, if it's a sheet and there's no center seam and they're saying it's really old. Well, I shouldn't say it. That's the homespun would have the smaller loom.
Okay.
So I don't know. That wouldn't necessarily mean, because I guess there were factories. After the time there were factories, then they started making them wider. But yeah, if it's a rough one and they're saying, oh, it's homespun linen, and then there's no center seam, like, no, I'd probably not.
Okay, good tip. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So we've got some, that was definitely divergent, different kinds of crushes today. Our listener question has to do with draperies and what you might put under them if you need to block additional light or you need some privacy. So the question is from Rachel, and she wanted to know, so if she's putting up draperies and they're really decorative and she's probably not going to close them, what would we suggest for the privacy portion of that window treatment? Would we do, again, another fabric, Roman shade, or something else?
I love the natural woven, the bamboo shades, but you could do, I guess, a Roman shade, but I wouldn't want it to be a very bulky thing. I definitely would want something that kind of pushes up and out of the way. That's probably my favorite call would be the bamboo or natural woven, or a very light, some other sort of shade like that you can push up and out of the way. And, I really vote heavily for the cordless versions where you're not having the strings just pooling on the floor.
Yeah, the cordless is such a good idea. If I didn't have to have the up, down, down, ups, I would have done that. Yeah, I would stay away from introducing another fabric. I mean, I guess you could do it if maybe your draperies were like a large pattern, and then you did a very simple, maybe a linen, just a cotton, a very, obviously a solid with no texture, just something really simple that's not calling attention to itself. Right. But I really think the juxtaposition between doing a fabric and then these natural wovens is so dynamite. So I 100% agree with that, Anita. I would do that as well. And there's so many choices in those, from sort of tortoiseshell-y, you could get weathered gray looking, you could get, darker ebony, and you could get matchstick, you could get thicker ones. There's so many ways to go. And that you can have privacy lined as well, or you could just have, or blackening, I should say. But if you maybe just wanted privacy, but a little bit of light still coming through the slats, then you just don't get them lined. There's a lot of ways you can go, a lot of options with that. But I think it would look best if they were different materials.
Well, and I wanted to say, because I looked all over for gray natural wovens, or basically bamboo shades, only found one that I like, and that's what's throughout my house, and that's the Bali Cabo Placid. That's what I used in my house, and I can have a link to that. But it's got a lot of gray in it, if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, and I love it.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah, because maybe that is
hard was hard to find. And they're very good. I've had these now for let's see, how long have I been in this house? 6 years, and I have the cordless, and they've done very, very well. So I can highly recommend those with a lot of confidence.
You're just full of tips today.
Well, I don't know. We try to be, don't we?
Yeah. You're really hitting them out of the park today. So much fun. Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. Remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home and get over your cold fast. So until next time. I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.